Here we are then on the gates for 450 Heat 1 for Ariel SX 2024 Round 7. Here for 250 East, well for 450, sorry, not 250 East, that's later on. But we're having a nice little time here so far. Aiden gets the whole shot here on the MXB Mods. Husqvarna, a fantastic start for him. A lot of guys getting caught up in the back of the field there, and Aiden actually going down in that first straight as well. Certainly not what we wanted to be seeing, but it looks like JB has taken a racing lead here on the Ace Moto KTM, so a fantastic start for himself. Tommy Wack is doing a nice little bit of riding himself here on that Press X KTM, trying to close in onto the back of JB now. Can he get the position done? It's going to be a very, very tight situation here between Tommy and Erwin, just in the background there as well. A fantastic battle going on for P2. Tommy then trying to make a move up into that P1 spot. Can he get himself into the top position? A couple of bikes going down. It looks like Tommy and JB collide. Both the racing leaders then out of the racing lead for now. Out of contention for now is what I'm trying to say, really. And it looks like Cam actually now our current racing leader. In fact, hang on, what's going on? Yeah, there he is. Cam just our current racing leader here on the red plate Ace Moto bike, having a fantastic time for himself. Ken's here in the P2 position on the Ace Moto team once again here for the KTM bike this time. Got that lovely military appreciation camouflage gear on tonight. We'll go into a little bit about the charity for tonight a little later on. For now then, Owen's having a nice little time. We'll check back up with Ken's and Cam here real quick. Looks like he's lost a little bit of time to Cam for now, but Cam seems to be holding on to some kind of a penalty. Maybe it's just the timing gate not quite updated just yet. But we shall see if Ken's does in fact. Or Cam, it looks like Cam's looks like a little bit it cuts. Yeah, exactly, Goop. Exactly. So we'll see if that updates. It looks like Cam's back up in front of the lead now, so it may have just been a dodgy timing gate, not quite updating. But around the outside goes Ken, to the inside goes Cam. He still pulls that double on the 450 with ease. Ken's a little bit over there on the Ace Moto KTM, but keeping good pace onto the back of the MXB Mods Husqvarna for now. Very, very aggressive battle between these two leaders. Just set back here in the fight for P3 though, we have Owen versus Stratify. Stratify closing in and getting a fantastic pass done along the outside on this rhythm section here. Looking like he might be able to get something tasty done there. Ken's not quite having this rhythm that you wanted there to catch up to Cam. Hack-on here coming in for the fight for P3. He might be able to get a cheeky little pass here down the inside line. It's not going to happen though. He runs it wide to the outside. Owen then still maintains that P3 position for the Press X KTM bike. Hack-on on the Ace Moto one though, coming around the outside now, around the 90-degree turn, looking nice and smooth. It's got that bike dialed in around those corners. Very nice stuff indeed for Hack-on as he makes his way around Stratify. Unfortunately going off track there, losing some time. Cam then seems to have opened this gap up by roughly a second now. A very comfortable gap indeed then here on the Supercross track. Not too much room for error though. So Ken's is going to be hot on his heels throughout the end of the moto, I'm sure. Hack-on then made his way up into the P3 spot. Currently holds off to round off the podium. We're going to check down through the field a little bit because it is the, what is it, the top 18 make it up from mains? Can't even remember. I think it's the top 18 make it up into the main event. Someone can correct me if I'm wrong. But I'm pretty sure that is right. Linz then onto the back of Nate Dad, looking to try and make a move up and into presumably P6. Nate Dad seems to be holding on to some pretty hefty penalties this early in the moto. Linzo on the Suzuki, making it work, having a very, very tasty time indeed of it. We'll see if he can try and close up to some leading bikes in a little while. Ken's then seems to have found his way past Cam. Cam making some kind of issue here on the MXB Mods Husqvarna, certainly not where he wanted to be. Ken's then now leads the race once again with 2 minutes 40 on the clock as we come into our final few laps here on the track. Not long to go at all. We'll check in with lap times here pretty shortly as well and see exactly what's going on there. Hack-on, that seems to have opened up wide. Looks like Cam has gone off, losing more time to the Ace Moto bike in front, and that's going to cost him a valuable, valuable bit of time at this late in the moto. Checking down, we've got Erwin having a nice time. Linz has made his way past Stratify and up into the P5 spot on the board then. A fantastic move for the FXR Suzuki. It's exactly where he wants to find himself at this point in the moto. A little look over his shoulder there as Stratify gets very, very scrubby. Dorian here making a bit of a recovery. Got off to a poor start in the moto here on the Mostra KTM, but he's climbed through the field without really being seen much. But what a race he's had so far. Down the inside of Erwin, down the inside of Stratify, trying to make a position work here on that Mostra KTM. Trying to find every little inch of grip that he can, but unfortunately clips that table just a little bit. He may have got the position if it wasn't for that. Regardless though, it looks like he may be able to try and make a move happen here shortly. Linz has found his way up into P4 now. So he's having a very nice time for himself indeed. Dorian then still holding on to the P5 spot now as he makes his way around the outside of Stratify. A beautiful move then from the Mostra KTM. Found the opportunity and seized it as soon as possible. Stratify actually looking to come back here, coming back alongside. Unfortunately, a bit of a case there for the KTM rider, and he will have to settle in behind for the moment. Looks like he's trying to build some big lines up though here on the KTM. Dorian looking for the slightly smaller lines, but staying nice and consistent, staying very true to his line. We'll see if he can pick up some potential positions in a little bit. Looks like Skizzy there, unfortunately, having a bit of a tough time at the start of the moto. Ken's here then. Oh no, it's top 9, isn't it, make it up from these heats, because it is 2 heats. Sorry, my bad. I just remembered my brain. So technically, it's Owen versus JB is a battle to watch. JB's ahead of Owen. Owen then presumably just lost that position here to the Ace Moto bike. JB keeping super duper tight to the inside there. Is the danger zone at this point, and he really does not want to be sitting in that hot seat. But we shall see, we shall see. More insane than I thought. See why people are into watching racing games, right? It's really weird, but it's a satisfying time. And as long as the racing stays nice and clean, the stream stays pretty fun, in my opinion at least. Hack on then, up into P2 as Cam has had a huge fall from grace. An absolute disaster here for the MXB Mods Husqvarna. Exactly the opposite of what he wanted to happen here in the first heat of the night. Hopefully he doesn't fall down much further through the field, or is at risk of losing his position in the main. Dorian hot on his heels here, currently P4 according to that timing tree. We'll see how it updates here as we come across that finish line. Looks like he is holding on to that position, so Cam then potentially with roughly a second's worth of penalties on the track. Certainly not where he wants to be. Why hands off the bars? I don't know, it just kind of happens sometimes. You know? It's just the it's just the game. If you pay attention when you play the game, like a lot of the time the hands aren't actually on the bars. But not to worry. They're gelling with the track. Yeah, they're having a very, very nice time on this track. It seems to be a very, very smooth track, a very rhythmy track. And like I say, a lot of bikes settle in nicely. There's only minor errors being made, and those big errors that get made get absolutely demolished. Which is not what they want, obviously, but we'll see how that continues on through the rest of the night. On our final lap then, we're going to take a lap, or the rest of the lap, sorry, with Ken's, our current racing leader on the Ace Moto KTM, the privateer, or not a privateer bike, it's an Ace Moto bike. Sorry, excuse me. I don't have Liz's gear? I don't, unfortunately, no. I did DM him the other week. I might give him another one, see if he can get it for me. But I think he's got his DMs filtered and whatnot, because obviously there's a lot of people that probably try and message that man. Anyway, Ken's having a lovely time here, keeping very, very stable through the whoops. Very commendable run indeed. Dill Pickle getting lapped there in the last lap. Ken's around the outside, trying to find his way past Tom here. Tom 142 having a little bit of a hairy time. Thankfully, Ken's our racing leader has made his way past, and the blue flag bike gives way to him on the inside of the track there. We'll see what happens here. Can he get past Tommy Mack as well? It's not going to happen, but Ken's then does take Heat 1, Moto 1 victory. Very, very nice time ahead indeed for the Ace Moto KTM. That's exactly where he wants to find himself. Linz takes P2 by technicalities as Hakon suffers from penalties after finishing P2 on track. Gets P3 overall. Cam then coming across the line for P4 here in the first heat, and Dorian for P5 ends up settling for that P5 spot. So it looks like Cam did have a penalty, but it just wasn't enough for Dorian to catch up. And then Aiden there for P6, JB for P7. It looks like Nate Dad versus... No, excuse me, lap down, sorry, my bad. Nate Dad then for P8. P9 will go to Owen Bartlett. And provided he's not got any penalties, Stratify should finish in the P10 spot, and unfortunately not quite make it into that main event. He's going to have to run the LCQ. He's got to try and do better in the next event. It's going to be a very tight little situation between these guys. Like Blue on Cupcake? Hell yeah. But no, so, like we say, in these heats, because there are 2 heats being run, the 450 Heat 2 was already being run in the background alongside this race. So the top 9 from this event make it through. Stratify, the first bike not to make it. Erwin, Nick Dad, JB, Aiden, Dorian, Cam, Hakon, Linz, and Ken's, though, will all make it in to the main event. So the LCQs will be over there in a little while. Going to have a quick look at the racing lap times here. We had a 47.768 there from Linz on the 7th lap of the race, so absolutely hauling in there, 0.2 of a mile an hour faster than Cam's best lap here on the 2nd lap of the race with a 48 flat. So Linz then, the only one to dip into the 47s here, at least in the first heat of the night. We, though, will be moving over to 250 LCQ to give us a little bit of love over to the 250 crowd, see how they're getting on, and then we'll crack on with the main events. Anyways, here we are then, off the gates we go, and down that starting straight. Arco is making a nice move around the outside there, trying to avoid some inside traffic. Oscar and Freitas look like they're leading the race, so Freitas doing very well. Oscar did get the whole shot, but unfortunately had a bit of a moment of his own. We're now just in the wall for the sake of being in the wall. We're going to stand here for a second, have a little look, and move on over to the actual camera set here now. Everyone in Kawasaki's like in real life. Here we are then. Michael leads the race. No, he doesn't. I lied to you. Freitas leads the race on the tryhard KTM, just ahead of Michael. Michael going down there and crashing out of the P2 spot. Now it's going to go to Baited on the AEO KTM. He's having a fantastic start. Lipo, a bit of a case there from himself. Genocide then will take P3, and Lipasek for currently the P4 safe spot, but he's very much in the danger zone at the moment as Leander and Dan White trying to close their way in to the back of him. Dan getting caught up there in a minor collision. Michael there, having dropped back through the field after that early front foot crash, is having a tough little time indeed. Woohoo! Go, go, go! Freitas then on the tryhard bike absolutely sends it into that first rhythm. Very nice double in. Baited then keeping very good pace onto the back of him here on that AEO KTM, really trying to put that work in now and close the gap up. Unfortunately, a bit of a case there for Baited, and all sorts of Barbosa related issues happen afterwards. Lipasek and Genocide then will take the P2 and 3 position, and Baited rejoins the track P4 behind the KTM. It's going to be very, very tight here. We've got Dan White and Valentin closing into the P4 spot, trying to make their way up and into the main event here tonight. It's going to be very difficult indeed. Dan then clears P4 and Valentin P5 now. Very, very tight stuff indeed. Dan currently in the safe spot. Genocide having some issues here. It's definitely not the ideal situation for themselves. Dan then still trying to fend off Valentin. These guys have been going at it pretty much since the gates have dropped. The Husqvarna then hot on the heels of the TSCZ KTM. It's a very, very tight fight between these guys at the moment. And weirdly, I don't have any Dan's gear. He used to have all his factory stuff. But anyways, team change, and I don't have this stuff, so I'll have to message him. Regardless, Valentin then down the inside, trying to make a cheeky little move happen on that Husqvarna. It's not quite able to work just yet, though. It doesn't get the drive that he needs there on the 250. Freitas then still leads the race. A fantastic race lead for themselves. A bit of a jump there into the whoops. Thankfully, we got back into control of the bike, and it looks pretty stable there throughout the majority of it. Lupo, though, on that AO suspension, just absolutely munching his way through. And it looks like he gained a pretty decent amount of time there in the whoop section, but it looks like he's losing some time throughout the rest of the lap, potentially. Baited then back up into the P3 spot. He's holding it on nicely, and Dan holding on for P4. He could be at risk of losing it here to Valentino. Valentin rounding outside. A fantastic move then for the NGS Husqvarna. What a pass. Very nice bit of racecraft there, a bit of spatial awareness. Saw Dan was running it off to the side of the track, and he thought, I'll just squeeze on by, get squeezed around the outside line there. And a beautiful little line it was indeed. So Valentin then currently holding on for the P4 spot. Dan White in P5. We'll see how penalties affect that towards the end of the moto, I'm sure. Back up with the racing leader. Freitas still absolutely hauling here on the tryhard KTM. Big old bounce into these whoops. Just kind of jumping our way through them. Who cares? Seems to be actually a pretty fast way of going through them, I can't lie. Baited and Lipo on those AEO bikes seem pretty stable through the whoops. Lipo having a bit of trouble there, but thankfully gets himself back into the swing of things. Kuden with the follow as well. What a legend. Back down to the danger zone battle then. It's between Valentin and Dan. Valentin here closes in onto the back of Lipasek now, currently in the P4 position, looking to try and make up to P3. Yeah, P3, sorry. And looking like he might be able to squeeze that little NGS Husqvarna by. It's going to be a very tight spot if he can get it up onto the back of Lipasek, but we shall see, we shall see. Penalty-wise, it looks like he's holding onto a pretty nasty penalty, actually. At least one, potentially 2 seconds here for Valentin, which is certainly not what he wants to be hearing. And Dan holding on to P5 just has to get close enough, I think, to make it work. And you can see there the timing trees put Dan in front of Valentin by nearly a second, rather. Valentin down, and Dan will secure the position on track as well as on the board. So a fantastic move then for the TSCS, or the TSCZ bike. My goodness, that's not a mouthful at all. I'm going to have to find out what that actually stands for. Freitas, though, absolutely storming here in the LCQ, is having the race of their life. A very, very nice moto indeed. A very, very heavy scrub over that as well. Not looking to lose any time. Bit rough there through the next section there, but hopefully we're doing okay. Stream just goes to you. Hopefully it's okay on everyone else's end. Fingers crossed it was just a your end type deal. Baited having issues, and Lipo's going to resecure P2. Very, very nearly comes close to actually losing the podium due to getting collected by Baited, but thankfully manages to go around the outside of his teammate and get his way through up into the P2 spot. Down there, trying to make his way past the Baited bike as well. It's going to be a difficult situation for himself, though. We'll hover back up. Lipasek has actually climbed all the way back onto our racing leader. Freitas now at risk of losing the race here, or at least losing the win, which is always a very nice time indeed. So what happens when you're on PB ad blockers on Twitch? I mean, don't need ad blockers in my stream because you only see ads when you first join it. Because I don't run mid-roll ads. Regardless, anyways, Lipasek then leads the moto. He's having a fantastic comeback session here tonight. That's exactly where he wants to find himself on the final lap of the LCQ here. Freitas on the try-hard KTM, really trying hard now to try and make something stick. Unfortunately, he's trying just a little bit too hard there. Nearly puts himself off the outside of the berm there. Excuse me, need to have a drink. God damn. Nixie with the raid, let's go. Thank you very much, Nixie. How was your stream pre-race? Freitas then having a nice little time. Is it Freitas? Someone can correct me at some point in the chat. Unfortunately, whoever they are, they've gone down, and it's certainly not where they wanted to be. Thankfully, they maintain the P2 position and get back up onto the track, but that is going to give Lipasek the win here for the LCQ, exactly where he wanted to be. Got himself back up into that main event and put himself up and into the top. Freitas then for P2 here for the 250 LCQ, baited for P3, and Dan White for P4. Those bikes then making it through into our main event here tonight. Oscar on the Illusion Racing Husqvarna is unfortunately going to be our first bike after the cutoff and will not be going through to the main event here tonight. Regardless, though, we shall crack on with the rest of them. Valentine came in P6. We've got Michael here coming across the line for P7, and Genocide for P8 will take that position by technicality. Matteo, will take P9, just ahead of Zvepi. Zvepi for P10 then on the Honda. A nice little race for himself here. Zombie on the Oblivion team on the KTM, not quite making it in tonight, nor will Valentine. Valentine was up for contention, so I have to wonder what happened to him at the end of the race. With just a couple of minutes to go, he was fighting up there in the top 4. And unfortunately, just let it slip here tonight. Not what he wanted. Let's check in the lap times for the 250 guys in the LCQ. A 50.008 was Lipasek's fastest time there, and the fastest man on track there by 0.1 of a mile an hour. Regardless, though, on the gates once again for the 250 main event here for the East Coast. Down go the gates, and off we go then for the race start. Main event here tonight, and now Billy manages to get that whole shot once again. What a race start he's got there for himself on the Vision MX KTM. It looks like he's held on to the lead there as well. We'll check back in with him in just a moment. Looks like he's actually not quite held on. Never mind then. Freitas on the try-hard KTM. The LCQ winner. Well, the LCQ... Wait, no, the LCQ second place, sorry. Having a a very, very nice start to his main event. That's exactly what he wants to be seeing. We've got Hubert closing in onto the background there on the OSA KTM just behind. Certainly not too far. Reaper Doc holding on for P3 as well. What a start for Doc. That's exactly where he wants to find himself at this point in the moto. Big old sends down the straight line we go then, and see if he can get himself up onto the podium at the end of the race. Have a nice little time though. Jones trying to get in front of J Talent. Looks like he's going to hold him off on the inside line there on the MXB Mods KTM. Exactly where he wants to be. Then we'll check back up with Freitas. Our current racing leader still half a second ahead of Hubert. Hubert got a little bit of a gap there now, but you can see Doc closing right up onto him now on that Husqvarna. A fantastic looking bike, I might add as well. Trying to find his way down that inside position. He's not going to go for it. He's going to go for that outside hard drive then. Big triple on into the line. A little bit of a case though, unfortunately for Doc. And he does lose some time then to the P2 bike. Logan then in P4, trying to close that gap up as a result of Doc's mistake. We'll have a look up here. Dan White getting a real hard drive there on the KTM. Trying to get some cheeky early race positions. 15 minutes on the clock though in total for the race. So we're going to be looking at some endurance out of these guys, obviously. It does just cost that little bit of extra effort when you're going up for quite so long. Freitas then opens up a 1.4 second gap. Absolutely storming here in the moto. Hubert for P2. Very, very comfortable as well. Reaper Doc still with that comfortable P3. We've got P4 with Logan just behind, and Dan White is scrapping it out with the Gas here. KTM versus Gas in the battle for P4 then at the moment. But we shall see, we shall see. Logan's getting all sorts of Casey. Dan then will make his way up and through into P4. Sam checking for P5, Baited for P6, and Finn for P7. It's going to be the order of things now. Hubert in P2 almost crashes out. In fact, cases out all the way down to P4 now. Reaper Doc then holds P2, and Dan White for P3. A fantastic start then for both of these riders. Husqvarna trying desperately to make it through those loops. Having a tough time by the looks of it, but held on to it. That's exactly where he wants to be. Dan White then chilling on that podium position. We'll see if he can hold on to it for now. We've got Sandchicken hot on his heels. Reaper Doc seems to have made a mistake, so Dan back up into the P2 spot then. Baited tries to make a move down for the podium and manages it. A fantastic move from Baited as well as Finn. Both the 250 riders making their way past Doc in that previous corner after the mistake. Unfortunately, a little bit of a collision there on Reaper's front end will cost him a few more positions and a little bit more time. Baited over the front wheel. Not what he wanted to happen there. Finn versus Sandchicken though. Down the inside goes the TSCZ Honda. A fantastic start for himself. Logan then trying to make his way through on the F-Crew bike. Getting a nice little position done there. That's exactly where he wants to be as well. Alrighty, Dan White gets himself open into P2. Logan's had a huge crash. Finn then, I believe, has taken P3 just on the outside of Sandchicken. A fantastic bit of racecraft and spatial awareness then for the Honda, and he gets up into that podium position. Logan here, just behind, not too far off though. Sandchicken, Hubert, and Jones 797 seem to be having a little bit of a three-way battle here between these guys. The MXB Mods KTM leading this small pack of bikes here at the moment, currently holding on for the P4 spot on the track. Definitely looking to try and close that up in the near future, if possible. Checking in with things, Doc seems to be having a bit of an issue. An unfortunate situation has seen him all the way down to P13 now, and looking to try and make his way back up through the field on the comeback mission. Hubert down the inside of Sandchicken makes a move up for P5. Logan as well gets his way through and up into P6. A fantastic move then for both riders there. GG Neon, says Brado. Yeah, we shall see, we shall see. Neon's holding on for the P12 spot now. Looks like Doc just managed to get past him according to that time entry. Unfortunate collision there though between, it looked like Reaplock and Jay Talon potentially. It may have been two separate incidents. It may have been a collision between the two riders. Not 100% sure. Either way, not great for either. Leapasek here, the winner of the LCQ, trying to find his way down the inside of Doc. Can't quite find the line, so he settles for an outside one instead. Not going to get the position done just yet then. Dan then has actually caught up to the back of Freitas, and looks like the leader has got some penalties, putting Dan ahead of them on the timing tree. We'll see how that kind of develops a little bit later on towards the night. I'm sure Dan's going to be wanting to try and push on for an aerial win. That's exactly what he wants to be doing. Alrighty then, check back in with Finn, currently on for the P3 spot. We all know how fast this guy is. An absolutely blistering season last time, so we'll see just exactly what he can pull out of the bag here for 250 East. Can he catch up with Dan? He definitely can around the outside line. Then he goes to punish that KTM's mistake. Actually, teammates there as well, so potentially giving each other just a little bit more track room and respect than they may give other riders. But regardless, a nice little pass for Finn, and Dan then down into P3. On the track. Freitas then still does lead, but needs to really start thinking about opening up that gap if they want to hold on to the position. They do have roughly 2 seconds of penalties, potentially even 3. I think it's only 2 though. Jones not having a great time either here. Holding on for P4 though, so it's exactly where he kind of wants to be at this point in the moto. 9 minutes on the clock, and still plenty of time to try and make it up onto that podium. Having a scan down with a few more riders then, shall we? Jones versus Logan seems to be a little bit of a battle going on here currently for P4. Logan getting a big line there, getting the triple secured and passed, it looks like, on the inside of the MXB Mods bike. Can he secure it for the whoops though? It looks like KTM's going to outdrive him through the whoops if he gets a nice bounce, but unfortunately goes over the bars and costs himself the position. Logan then will take the P4 spot. Fantastic move then for himself. Neon around the outside of Sandchicken. Can he get something done? It has a little switch back underneath. What a cheeky little move. Very nice stuff indeed for Neon. He's trying to make his way up through that field. Unfortunately, can't quite get the position solidified. We'll be looking at trying to get that done as soon as possible, though. Don't worry, we're going to be moving back up with our racing leading 3 very, very shortly. Just after this battle between Neon and Sandchicken, side by side here on the KTMs. Around the outside for Neon, around the inside for Sandchicken. Neon cuts back down underneath for a switchback. What a move. What a move indeed. Got the position done very securely indeed. Finn then is our new racing leader with 1.8 seconds to Dan White. A pretty hefty gap then between himself and his teammate. Down on the KTM, not too far behind though. Definitely going to be looking to try and climb up some more space. That doesn't make sense. Freitas then currently P3 with 9 seconds to lead. Finn absolutely storming off at this point. Schaefer lap down. Logan currently holding on to the P4 spot. We're going to check in with the next battle on the field. Where are they? Looks like it could be Jay Talon versus Davies. An interesting little battle going on for P9 at the moment on the track. So not a whole load of points in the battle for it. But we shall see, we shall see. Is Finn number 1 in overall standings? I'm not 100% sure, honestly. I would have to go back and check. I've kind of been slacking this week, honestly. I was way too engrossed in playing Pacific Drive last night, so my apologies. A great battle, though, going on between these guys. We are going to hop up to Freitas versus Logan, though, which seems to be going on here between the F-Crew Gas, and the Tryhard KTM. Victor here on the MXB Mods Husqvarna trying to close things up. Is that Husky or is it a KTM? It may actually be a KTM, it looks like. Just looks like a Husky. Just to confuse us, you know? Just to confuse us. You know Vic's second? Yeah, 90% sure. Like I said, I'd have to have a quick double check. We may do that after the moto real quick. And see where they're at. Roy having a nice time. Trying to get through those whoops at least. I mean, a nasty time is what I should really be saying. It's a WKTM skin, it really is. It looks sick. But unfortunately, it does make me think it's Husqvarna, which is not at all confusing. Don't know what you're talking about. Anyway, Logan, Schaefer, and Victor. Victor, it looks like, is having a nice little time. Schaefer, I believe, is lapped down, unfortunately, for himself on that privateer KTM. Not really what we wanted to see. And Logan goes down on the gas, and Victor then up and through to P3 on track now for the MXB Mods KTM. It's a KTM. Yeah, it's a very, very nice bike indeed. We always like him. We always like him. Looks like Jones here has lost a couple of positions here to both Neon and Logan. Logan getting the worst of things once again there on the F-Crew gas. Exactly not what he wants to be doing. Will Neon put on the charge? He usually does. He usually gets his head settled towards the end of these races. And we'll start seeing him move up through the field as we are now. Down the inside of Freitas then, can we find a position here for the number 37 KTM? Not quite just yet. A little bit of a case there over the table. Gets settled back into a rhythm nice and quickly though. And that's exactly what you want to be seeing from these pro-level riders. It's the ability to realise they've made a mistake and correct it as soon as possible. Obviously, it can't always be done. Accidents do happen. But just the number of saves in a race is pretty wild. Finn then still leading by 8.5 seconds. This man is absolutely storming here tonight on the Honda. 49.181 is his best lap on the board there for the fourth lap of the race. But you can see incredibly consistent lap times here throughout the entire moto. Only a little bit of a hiccup there on lap 8. Other than that, absolutely cruising. So Finn then ran the 49.181. Dan White's ran a 49.845. So he's definitely not quite fast enough to catch Finn if Finn's running those optimal laps every lap. And we'll see Victor here with a 49.374. He certainly could put some contention onto our racing leader here shortly. And we'll see if that certainly starts to develop a little bit later on. Neon then running a 49.559. We've got Jones running a 50.9. Where did I get a 4 from? 50.963. Dear me, my brain is absolutely blitzed. Alright, 50.337 here from Freitas. So Jones and Freitas running extremely similar lap times. I'm sure this battle is going to be a pretty hectic one between the two. The Tryhard KTM really getting some big lines closed up now. Can we get the position done in the next couple of turns here? Past the MXB Mods KTM, it's going to be a tight little battle here between the two KTMs. Man, it gets weird commentating when all the bikes are KTMs. Here we are then. Freitas trying to put some big aggressive moves on now, but Neon, or not Neon, Jones, sorry, managed to find off a decent gap, but unfortunately blows the corner. Neon then will re-secure the position. Why do I keep saying Neon? It's because I'm reading him on the timing gate, so I actually mean Freitas. Deary me. My apologies. Back into the breathing situation. Past the lap down bike we go. Neon then. Finn then. Why? Oh my days. Finn then. Having a nice time, leading the race. Dan White for the P2 spot. He's got a 10-second gap to the racing leader, which is not ideal, but he's holding on to a very, very good position in terms of points for the championship. So he's certainly not going to be too upset about this P2 if he can hold on to it. For now, though, for that to happen... Wait, where did Hubert go? Oh, Hubert's had a tough race, unfortunately, as is Ruspa. Victor then, currently holding on for the P3 spot. Roughly 6.5 seconds between himself and Dan. Roughly 7 seconds, sorry, I stand corrected there by the timing tree. So Victor's certainly lost a little bit of time over that last lap. We've got 3.5 minutes to go to try and close in that 7-second gap. It's not going to be an easy feat. So if he does it, it's going to be a very, very commendable part of a race. I'm really butchering this commentating tonight. Jones here looks like he has managed to break away from the Tryhard KTM, but not quite far enough. Freitas is definitely closing in. You believe it's pronounced Freitas? You may be right. You may be right. I will, I'm sure, be corrected at some point, hopefully. Jones, unfortunately, collected by the blue flag bike. Not a situation we wanted to find him in. Oliroy didn't really move to try and get in the way of Jones there, so I don't think he was potentially racing him. I think Jones just didn't quite anticipate how different their paces were going to be through that section, you know. Hell yeah, Baked, I appreciate it, my man. We're having a nice little time. I do enjoy myself commentating. It's weird. I don't know why, but I enjoy it. So we keep doing it. Finn, though, look at this gap. 12 seconds is absolutely ridiculous. Man is a beast. Reaper Doc having a huge crash there in the background. Unfortunately, down to P13. He's not quite managed to climb back up through the field like we hoped he would. An unfortunate situation then for Doc on the KTM. I think I've been calling him on a Husqvarna as well tonight because he's on a white bike, even though it is actually a KTM. Regardless, he's having a tough race, this one. Holding off some good points once again this week, but it's not going to be that P3 that it looks like he might have had at the start. Freitas. Yeah, I'm not 100% sure how to pronounce this tryhard rider's name. If anyone does know him, let me know. I want to say Freak because it's IE, but who knows? We'll find out at some point, I'm sure. Finn though. 13 seconds now to Dan. Dan having a very nice chilled out position here for P2. He's got roughly 9 seconds to worry about, or 8 seconds to worry about, sorry, between himself and Victor. So that gap is certainly opening up more and more every lap. Dan really starting to get those screws open, and Victor having some unfortunate mistakes here, getting some last minute cases here towards the end of the moto. Certainly not where he wants to be, but the podium position is always one that you're happy to take home at the end of the day. Can never complain too much with a good old pody. Jordan, we end up with some weird music, man. We do end up with some weird music sometimes. It's always a vibe though. Dear me. Yeah, Dan's really starting to get cooking now. He might be able to start closing gaps, but it's going to be really difficult. Finn's running absolute burners here, even past the lap down bikes. 50.5 there on that last lap, so a little bit slower than normal. You can see he's having to hesitate here as he tries to get past Billy and Lipo. Billy and Lipo, of course, having a battle of their own, so Finn's not trying to cause any issues between these bikes. Unfortunately, Billy does get slightly wonky and causes himself a bit of an issue there. I don't believe that was Finn's fault. It may stand corrected in a slow-mo replay later on, but at least for now, I think our racing leader got through there without actually colliding. Astro Boy with the follow, thank you very much. Dan, unfortunately, has had a bit of a crash. A couple of bikes then in the process of unlapping themselves. Victor, sorry, not quite close enough to capitalise on that mistake, though. You can see he's just a couple of straights off. Not right where he wants to be. Certainly not too far off, though, now thinking about it. He's only got roughly 6 seconds to Dan. Unfortunately for him, it is the final lap. Finn, currently around halfway through that lap, is absolutely cooking here on the TSCZ Swan Labs Honda. He's had a phenomenal race here tonight. Started off a little bit rough, but got himself straight back up onto that podium after the first few laps, and then just battled it out for the remainder of the race. Got himself up into that podium position roughly halfway through, and just kept opening that gap. Across the line we come then for P1 in 250 main. Dan White then will be coming across the line here very, very shortly for the P2 spot. Not before though. Reaperdoc should be coming across for P12, I believe. He got up past Sandchick and then in the P13 position, which is always nice to see. Down then across the line for P2 in the race, we have Victor coming up soon. Lanson and Bad Egg having a nice little bit of a battle between each other there. That was for position. Unfortunately for Lanson, Bad Egg still gets the position due to technicalities. Victor then across the line to round off the podium here tonight. P3 then for the MXB Mods KTM. A fantastic race for himself tonight. Rusper comes across the line. Not too bad here tonight for P17. Nice couple of points on the board then for himself. Beta and Neon having a last minute battle. Beta comes across the line first and Neon will take P6. So then, across the board, the top 10, we have Finn in P1, Dan White P2, Victor for P3, Beta for P4, Freitas for P5, Neon for P6, Liposec for P9, for P7, sorry, Logan for P8, Davis for P9, and Jones for P10. My goodness me. Imagine a world where your commentator literally can't count to 10. Anyways. Here we are then for Ariel 450 main event here tonight. Round 7 here at Arlington. It's going to be a very, very tasty battle indeed. Also, another big up to Stoney. Once again, we've always got to appreciate this man's work. Look at that. Absolutely gorgeous bit of work he's done. Beautiful track as always. Anyways. Welcome to Spit TV Videos to Commercials. There's a commercial ad submission channel in Ariel. For now though, down go the gates here in 450, and it looks like the whole shot will go to Hakon. A fantastic start then for the Ace Moto bike, exactly where he wants to find himself at this point in the moto. Let's see if he can hold on to that. Steiner having a fantastic start. Actually, he's managed to find his way past Hakon and up into that racing lead. Brad Jukel, something like that. close to the back on the Mostra KTM, trying to find his way past Steiner at the moment. It's going to be a very, very tight battle between these guys very early in the moto indeed. Dorian coming down the inside there to try and take P2 off of his teammate, and it looks like it's going to happen. Unfortunately, Owen having a bit of a moment there at the back of the field. We'll check in with Linz. It looks like he's currently P4, looking to threaten that P3 position. We could be seeing that move happen pretty shortly here. Dorian fending it off for the moment, I believe. Whereas Linz already up in P3? He is. Brad found his way down into P4. Brad going for the big line there on the KTM. Can't quite, and he gets a little bit of a case there after misjudging the finish jump. Linz then will secure himself up and into that podium. Steiner then leads the race with a good half-a-second gap to Dorian. Dorian holding on for that P2 spot, and Linz certainly not letting these guys run away anytime soon. Closing right up soon on that Suzuki. All sorts of a strange line. I think every bike had a different line through that section. Linz and Dorian side by side. Steiner for the lead still. Dorian tries to duck it down the inside. Linz though back around the outside will outpower him down this straight section. Through the whoops we go, down into this next 90-degree left and over the double. Steiner trying now to defend from Linz on the FXR Suzuki. It's going to be a very, very hectic battle between these top three. We'll check in with the rest of the field here shortly as this gap starts to open up a little bit. If it starts to open up a little bit, we might just have a top three race. Who even knows? Steiner, fantastic bit of defensive riding there as Linz gets a bit of a case. Unfortunately for him, it looks like he's run it wide on that corner. Not entirely sure what happened to Steiner. Linz manages to secure that P1 spot just ahead of Steiner. Dorian, though, closing right in for P3. He's almost there on their heels. Very, very close stuff indeed between these three bikes, and it's absolutely anyone's guess as to who's going to come out on top at the moment. Linz, though, keeping it nice and smooth there on the Suzuki. Cheeky double in. Steiner goes for the big triple on the Ace Moto, but unfortunately gets a little bit wonky there through that rhythm section. Loses some time. Dorian then really hot on their heels now, trying to cook, trying to close in, and trying to punish any major mistakes. We'll see if he can get some positions done here very shortly. We'll check in with the rest of the field here then. Tajay in P4. We got Jake in P5, Ken's in P6, having a nice race for himself. Brad, unfortunately, is falling down to P7 and Aiden for P8, nearly making a move there. Unfortunately, having some issues of his own. A nice little pack of bikes here coming through. Alpha trying to make his way around the outside of Laurent. Not sure it's going to happen just yet, though. For now, back up with the racing leaders, though, as Linz still leads by just a couple of bike lengths here in front of the Ace Moto KTM. The battle is back on between the leading three. Dorian, again, nowhere near out of this fight just yet. A very tight battle then for the leading three. As we said, 17 minutes on the clock. It's a 20-minute moto here for 450, obviously only 15 for 250. So you've got to have a little bit more endurance to hit these 450 motos and keep yourself nice and stable throughout the entire thing. Consistency is the key, and it will pay off for at least one rider here tonight. We'll see if they can keep it up. Linz currently holding on for that top spot. He's pulling some good lap times by the looks of it, starting to open up the gap just a little bit every lap, roughly a couple of tenths, not too much, but if he keeps the consistency up, he should be doing it quite nicely. Dorian and Steiner, however, running very, very similar lap times, just getting minor cases like that and switching positions every now and then. Dorian then up into P2, once again here for the Mostra bike. Fantastic start to the race for himself. Quarter of the way through now nearly as Tyler J closes his way through and tries to, I think it's, wait, has Tyler J found his way up to P3? He has. Steiner has had an absolute disaster then on the Ace Motorbike. All the way down to P4 we go. Ken's closing in, threatening that position to get pushed down once again. Ken's trying to make some cheeky little moves here then in that military appreciation gear. Always nice to see the teams that have taken part in the week events, you know, in the charity supporting things. It's always what we like to see. Dorian's keeping very, very smooth. Very, very smooth indeed. He's back up into that P2 spot once again, like we said. And he should be looking at closing that gap up here soon. Potentially, if his lap times can give him some breathing room. They have got clean, open traffic for now. But they may be coming up on some lap down bikes in the very near future if they're not careful. Tyler J here on the MXB Mods KTM. Really starting to put in some work. Really closing in onto the back of Dorian here. And genuinely a threat for that P2 spot. Goes for the outside line to maintain the better drive here through the whoops. Unfortunately, gets a bit of an awkward bounce and loses some time to the bike ahead. Steiner here with an even more awkward bounce. What was that? No idea how he held on to that Ace Moto KTM. What a save. My goodness me. God damn. God damn. Alrighty. Checking on, just with a few extra bikes here through the field. We've got Hurls there for P7. Certainly not one that you want to ignore. A phenomenal rider coming back from a pretty long break, actually. So we'll see if he can try and pull his way up through the field a little bit. Of course, we've got Aiden here as well. We've got Cam in the fight. Certainly not riders to be snuffed out, you know. They are very, very talented riders, and hopefully we see them start climbing up through the field a little bit more throughout the rest of the season. It's been a rough start for some of them though. Lynn's here, trying to come through some back lap traffic. It's going to be a little while before we can clear our way through just yet though. Onto the back of Pat Sheehan now. Can we find wave past the blue flag bike without causing any issues? Yes we can. A big old quad there from Lynn's. What a send. The blue flag bike unfortunately not really doing what he should be doing, but we'll let it slide because Lynn's didn't die. Deary me. Owen unlaps himself from the racing leader there for a moment. Lynn's packed down the inside. He really likes that inside double triple. That is really a line that he is very, very fond of, and it seems to be very quick indeed. I have to see it side by side with an outside line to see just which is faster. I think Lynn's line is ever so slightly faster and slightly easier to do probably as well. Just in the double out the corner rather than having to push for that triple and risk losing that front end in the corner. Dorian, though, over the bars he goes. An unfortunate moment there for the P2 bike, and he will be losing that position to Tyler J, who takes it with both hands. He says, thank you very much here on the MXB Mods KTM. That's exactly what he wanted to be seeing at this point in the race. Unfortunately, he's had a moment himself, and Dorian slips back on through for P2. What a moment there for Tyler J. Lands all sorts of wrong on that front wheel. Ken's here, looking like he might be able to try and take advantage of some mistakes here. Close that gap right up, and potentially could be looking at an overtake here in the very near future. Jake certainly not far behind either. Neither is Steiner. Miles here for B7, slowly making his way through that field, as is Aiden and Cam. You can see these three here working in a little bit of a pack, slowly making their way through that field. Linz has a bit of a moment here, loses some time running off the edge of the track there. He could be at risk of picking up a penalty. Thankfully for himself, he's got an 8.5 second gap to the rest of the field and is absolutely storming through. 12 minutes on the clock, he has plenty of time though to still make mistakes, so hopefully we don't see too many of those. Dorian's still holding on for the P2 spot, TJ for P3, and Ken's really, really close to getting up on the podium here soon. The Ace Moto bike trying to find any little bit of a mistake here from Tyler J, any sign of a bike going wide to tuck his way down that inside line and just try and secure those extra precious little points. Oh, bit of an issue for Tyler J. He holds on to it though. What a save. Fantastic stuff indeed. Unfortunately for Kens, he's gone down there. A bit of a triple front flip. Hurls makes his way from P7 to P5 in just a matter of moments and is now on the heels of P4, trying to take that position away from his teammate. Ken's down the inside line, Hurls around the outside. Hurls trying to get the drive now. Kens has blocked him off. What a beautiful block there from Kens, but unfortunately he just didn't have the drive through the whoops to fend him off. There was absolutely no stopping Hurls there, and through he goes. Steiner unfortunately does get collected on the back of his teammate's bike, which is certainly not ideal. But regardless, having a nice race himself. Jake there onto the back of Steiner. Could be looking at a positional move here for P6 if he's very lucky. And if he plays his cards right. Looking good again in the military-inspired gear. It's always what we like to see. Hell's barking. 5th place already from rock bottom after start. Right. He's some kind of wizard. Some kind of wizard, Salad. Jake and Steiner having a great battle here, though. I am going to check up with Hurls and Kens, because these guys are still going at it. The Ace Moto team members are having a fantastic battle with each other here. You can tell these guys must practice a fair amount with each other, you know. Racing each other pretty frequently in lobbies, I would imagine. Down the inside goes Hurls. Ken's leaving a little bit of room there for his teammate. Down the inside then the Ace Moto bike goes. He goes for the full-on block as well in front of his teammate. Ken's can do nothing but stare down the back of that exhaust pipe. And Hurls has re-secured the position once again there. Unfortunately, he's not quite opened the gap that he needs to really call it safe. We'll see. We'll see. There's still 10 minutes on the clock. Anyone's guess as to who's going to come out on top of these guys. Jake and Steiner here, still side by side. Steiner will get the position done after Jake has a bit of a case there, though, over the finish jump. Back up then with Tyler J and Dorian, who appear to be getting pretty close with each other. Looks like Dorian could be closing up potentially in the fight for the P2 spot here pretty shortly. We shall check in with lap times here in a little while. Logan with the follow, thank you very much. Heck yeah, indeed. Brad having some issues. He got off to a really good start at the start of the race, but unfortunately a few minor collisions with other bikes has just sort of left him collected and moved all the way down to the back of the field, and he's just not had his head right since, I don't think, to get back up into the swing of things properly. Tyler J then still holding on very nicely for that P2 spot. We're going to have a look at Hurls here, who's currently holding on for P4. He's got 8 seconds to Dorian. Let's see how close, how that gap closes. in the next couple of minutes or so. We'll definitely be keeping an eye on that. So 8 seconds with 9 minutes 40 to go. Brad having more issues, like we say, just not able to get out of his own head. A lot of riders here, when they start crashing, they kind of feel like they have to push like 112% to try and get back up to their position that they crashed down from, when in reality, you should only go back to your normal 100% effort. Because if you're pushing more than you can push, you're just going to crash at the end of the day. You're not going to remain consistent. And that kind of push is really just for those last closing stages of the race and those very early opening laps. The rest of it, you should just kind of be running the best pace that you can run without asking too much of yourself. And that's how you'll keep consistent lap times and consistently getting pretty decent positions. Lens here is a perfect example, has a very very consistent set of lap times here across the board. You can see 48s, 49s, and even a 47.576 there on his best lap for the third lap of the race. Excuse me. I apologise, I'm going to have a quick drink. But you can see just incredibly consistent and fast lap times will put you up there. And at the end of the day, consistency will see you into the top 10 99% of the time. Yeah, there's a lot of people that kind of just kind of grind hot laps for the qualifying, and then once they qualify, they think that's it. When in reality, you have to learn how to race. And in a race, you're gonna make mistakes. You have to be able to recover from them. You have to choose your lines and your opportune moments to try and make overtakes. You have to choose what risks are worth doing. And you don't really, you don't get to learn that until you're actually racing up against some of these very, very strong contenders. Hulse had a bit of a slip back down to P7 by the looks of things. An unfortunate situation for himself. Cam all over the back of him now on that MXB Mods KTM just behind. Hulse, oh my days, nearly dies. Cam then will take a move down the inside. Can't quite squeeze on through though. The Ace Moto KTM defends with absolutely everything he's got. Cam though outdrives him there on the MXB Mods bike and will get through. Very nice move. Very nice move indeed. Checking back in, Steiner's having a pretty decent battle here. He's got himself a decent gap in front of Jake, roughly a second or so. Certainly not out of reach of Jake just yet though. Ken's actually as well. Definitely in this battle too. Very interesting to see. But you can see pretty much throughout the field, JB and Pat Sheehan getting past each other here. Looks like Pat's unfortunately lapped down. But there's a lot of pretty tight battles on the field here. The main gap is Linz versus Tyler J there with that 15 seconds. Linz is just absolutely hauling tonight. And that's what we say. The consistency and just not making mistakes will do you very, very well. And it helps if you're the fastest on the track as well. But we'll check in with the overall fastest lap times as well, obviously after the end of the motor, as we usually do. And then we shall crack on with the rest of our night. We'll have a quick little drink here from our fat friends. Thank you very much. Hack on here, trying to put in some good work for the Ace Moto team. Trying to get some positions done once again. Laurent here, having a nice time. Can Dumo try and defend? It's going to look like he can for now. Hakon gets a bit of a rough entry into that rhythm section. Laurent then will defend at the position 4 now on his KTM. On his Husqvarna. Sorry, my bad. Oh no! Oh no, the Barboso drift is happening. That is an absolute disaster. That's not what you want to be seeing at all, especially not when it was a positional bit of contention there. Not good at all, not good at all. What a sad moment there. Dario Marilyn having a nice time on that Mostra KTM. Really likes that outside send into this rhythm. Keeps it nice and steady, but unfortunately there is that little single into the corner which can often leave some things to be wanted sometimes into the corners. Or, you know, keeping smooth, keeping steady, and hoping to try and get some extra little positions here towards the end of the moto. Can he catch up with Tyler J? 5-second gap is the one between them, and now that's going to be more, unfortunately. He collects Brad Jukel as well. Certainly not good at this point in the moto. 5 minutes on the clock, still enough time to try and recover from these kind of mistakes, but really not that many more mistakes can be made at this point. It's getting very, very tight indeed now. Tyler J, a little bit of a case there. He's making some mistakes as well. Looks like Linz has made a couple as well on that previous lap there. You see he ran a 53.009 on lap 16, so not ideal at all. Potentially had a bit of a crash, bit of a moment, but thanks to his consistency earlier in the race, he's built himself up a nice buffer cushion of time, and it should be pretty solid, provided no major things go wrong. Dorian then still holding off Jake for the moment. In the fight for P3, Jake actually is coming up and potentially looking at contending with this podium bike. It's going to be very, very interesting to see if he can get himself on that podium with the AJP bike. Deary me. Lynn's here, keeping very smooth indeed. I'm going to check on with a couple of other guys. I'll have a little flick on from the back of the pack to the front. Brad here, and a big bit of traffic. Owen as well here, getting passed by some lapping bikes, not lapper bikes. A nice time. Bashian's making his moves. We've got Alpha here, just about to get lapped by Linz, unfortunately for himself. Not where he wants to be, but there we are. Nick Dad, he comes across that finish line nice and smooth. You've got Cam and Owen. Looks like Cam's passing him for a lap. Laurent Dumeau, unfortunately, has fallen quite far down into the P13 position after that initial crash. Certainly not ideal at all. Hang on, having a nice time here, though. Keeping his way nice and steady for the Ace Moto team. He's still a lap down, but he is certainly not too far back. And he's going to be securing some pretty comfortable points here tonight, I think. JP having a nice race as well. Hurl's down to P9 now. He's lost some more positions. Definitely not ideal at all, and I'm sure he'll be seeing him try and settle back into the rhythm. But like we say, sometimes, and it can happen to anyone. Sorry, I don't know if you can hear that exhaust. Someone ripping a bike outside. Anyways. Yeah, unfortunate to see him so far down through the field. Hopefully he does pick things up, but like we say, you can let your head get the better of you sometimes when you start going down, especially if you go down a couple of times in the same lap. You really start over-pushing yourself and just overworking your brain. And in reality, your brain does its best work when it's not really thinking. Let me know if that bike that's ripping around outside is too loud, and I'll close my window. Regardless, though, we're going to check in then with some extra little battles if we can. What have we got going on? What have we got? Anything interesting going on? Hurls isn't too far off the back of Aiden there, but it's a little bit of a lap up between them. JB's actually right on the heels of Hurls. This is actually a nice little battle to watch, potentially. We shall see, we shall see. He's running 48.221 on his best lap, but a 50.3 on that previous one. So you can see he's been having relatively inconsistent race laps. Certainly not what he wants to be doing. 47.5 is pretty ludicrous, so I can't lie. Just kind of flicking through. Sorry for the lack of the old commentary for the moment. I'm just kind of trying to find little bits of action as they happen, you know, trying to pop things up. Dorian versus Kenz. That's a battle that we're interested in. The fight for P3, and Kenz is up there in that P3 spot on the Ace Moto KTM. What happened here? Dorian on the monster bike then, trying to find his way back down the inside. Can't quite show him the front wheel just yet, though. So we're going to have a little bit of a resecure, reset, and settle back in to the rhythm, hopefully. Kenz, though, looking like he's holding on for a very, very nice P3 victory, if he can, or P3 position, if he can hold on to it. It's going to be a very tight squeeze, though, between these guys. It looks like neither bike's sitting on penalties. So we are very, very interested in what's going on here right now. Kenz will hold on to the position for now. Dorian goes to that big line into the rhythm like we see him do very, very frequently here. You see he does sort of close up through the rhythm there, but because Kenz gets that final triple through the section, I think it's actually opening up the gap once again down this next rhythm straight here. Which can prove quite difficult to catch up with by the looks of it here for Dorian. Kenz is actually starting to get that tap twisted and just keep that throttle pin, which is always nice to see. You can see those throttle inputs down there in the bottom right. Very, very hard on the throttle, always through those corners, look. Kind of feathering it through. Tyler J here, same again. A little bit of a feather through the corner there and straight back on it for the straights. Always lovely to see. Just a couple of laps on the clock then. And we have Linz, our current racing leader, with 14.7 seconds to P2. We will pick him up at the end, or at the start of the final lap, to go on board with a lap with our racing leader. For now, though, Ken's is or isn't in P3. It looks like Dorian has taken that position away from him and is back up onto that podium position, at least for the moment. Ken's then having to find his way past the blue flag bike of Hakon here to try and make a position stick. Looks like he may have had a bit of an issue earlier in the race. Coming on to that last lap now then with our racing leader, we will go flick up with him for the moment. We'll come right back to this battle for P3 here shortly though. Linz having a nice time here though, coming through the whoop section for the final time here tonight. A very nice run here for that FXR Suzuki. Salb just kind of seems to be pretty dialed in. He's feeling very, very comfortable on the bike by the looks of it. Made very, very few mistakes. I think we saw maybe 2 or 3 minor mistakes throughout the entire race, and one time where he actually crashed I caught on camera. But he's had a phenomenal race here tonight. Tyler J as well, doing it very nicely. Linz then with a little wave as we come across that finish line. Tyler J then will be coming in for the P2 spot here on the MXB Mods KTM. He's had a phenomenal night himself. Held on a good gap here to Linz. It's not quite been enough to catch up and get that P1 position done, but he's held a very respectable P2 with another roughly 11 seconds here. So Dorian versus Kens, these two guys scrapping it out to the final moment, and it looks like Dorian will be coming across that line in P3 as Kens blows his acceleration on that corner and just spins out just a little bit. Unfortunate moment there for Kens, but Dorian will take that P3 spot. Jake then for P5, Cam for P6. JB will be taking P7, provided he can keep it nice and steady. Looks like he will be across the line then for P7, and Aiden for P8. Hell's then finished in P9, starting for P10, Hakon for P11, HM for P12, Owen for P13, and Laurent Demeaux down in P14. Then we had Adam Ertz P15. But no, a very, very hectic race. Some very, very intense battles there, lads. Some very intense battles there indeed. Alrighty, let's check in with the time of night. It is currently 11 minutes past 10. So that means that the H7 qualifying has been going for presumably 10 minutes. We'll have a quick check-in with their Discord real quick before we move on over. It looks like we might be able to get the full AMS thingy in tonight. Yeah, it looks like their servers are up. Ba-doo-boo-boo. Alright, cool. You know what? Let's do it. Let's do it. Alrighty then, boys. So, once again, appreciate you stopping by for the races. We will be getting on with the H7 Amateur Series very, very shortly. I'm going to leave the stream running for it. We'll go into some commercials, though, here shortly. But for the moment, we're going to have a look at lap times. Linz there was the fastest, with 47.576, and Cam with a 47.789. 47.948 there for Hakon. So, many more bikes making it into those 47s here than we saw in the heat events earlier on in the night. Regardless, though, we are cracking on with the rest of our night. Let's go see those H7 AMs. Let's get some edits up. And let's post the link for the charity again. Woohoo!